I've offered a lot of advice in other talks about the different ways in which you can organize your life to write when you have a full-time job. I know those lessons from my own personal experience because I spent 25 years in business and in government with a full-time job while I tried to write at nights and on weekends. I know how difficult it is for some people, and I'm keenly aware of how discouraged you can get when you're just trying to juggle all of your responsibilities. It is very easy to think that this is an impossible task. You'll never find the time, the energy, and the focus to become the writer you want. I want to just offer a brief series of inspirational examples. There are so many people that have managed this. I think it will help you to think about them and to say, they could do it, so can I. Now, most people know about Wallace Stevens. He may be the only writer that most people say, well, he was an insurance lawyer and yet he became a great poet. But Wallace Stevens was not a unique example. T.S. Eliot spent his entire professional life working as a banker and then as a publisher. Marion Moore was a librarian and an editor. William Carlos Williams was a doctor for his entire career. Archibald MacLeish was a lawyer, a government official, and then an editor. James Weldon Johnson was the executive secretary of the NAACP, and then he became the U.S. consul to Venezuela and later Nicaragua. Richard Eberhardt was a business executive in the Butcher Wax Company. A.R. Ammons spent his early years as a salesman for a chemical glass company. Suzanne Noguer worked in a printing business. Ted Kuzer spent his career working in the insurance industry in Lincoln, Nebraska, and yet he became poet laureate. Sarah Cortez worked as a police patrol officer in Houston and still serves in the police reserve. James Dickey was an advertising copywriter. Richard Hugo spent his early years working for Boeing in Seattle. Charles Bukowski we think of as basically a kind of wild bohemian, but he had a regular job in the U.S. Post Office in Los Angeles. Victoria Chang was an MBA from Stanford Business School and worked in business. Even Walt Whitman, another classic wild bohemian, spent the middle years of his life working as a clerk for the federal government and later volunteering as a nurse for the Army Hospital in Washington, D.C. Even Robert Frost spent 15 of his early years as a farmer. Now, admittedly, he wasn't a very good farmer. He slept until noon, but he supported his family and himself through manual labor while he developed himself into a great poet. There are so many examples. If you simply take a list of the doctors who became famous writers, it is staggering. Just to start off with, you've got Anton Chekhov. It is not an uncommon thing for people to have two careers. These people could do it, so can you. But it does help, I believe, to have a few examples, a few patron saints. You can make the life you want to lead, but it won't happen accidentally. It has to be intentional. So keep these examples in mind, and you'll find that you achieve more than you think you can.